Okay, we were here in our previous class. We had seen that there is our nervous system. This will be divided into two parts, that is central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Uh, Central nervous system will consist of brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system will consist of autonomous nervous system and somatic nervous system. This autonomic nervous system will be further divided into parasympathetic division and sympathetic division, and this somatic nervous system will be divided into sensory system and motor system. So let's get into the detail of this chart. First comes the central nervous system. Here we have been given about brain, but uh, in this article we are not going to be going into the details of brain. We will be just talking about what is the function of brain, and that's it. We will study about the brain at the end of our chapter. Yeah, the central nervous system will consist of brain and spinal cord. What are the functions of brain? This is given here. It is responsible for cognition, thoughts, including learning, memory, and language, and many more things which will be covered in detail after the end of the chapter. And there are brain is divided into several parts which has some specific functions that is some part will be specialized for hearing, some may be specialized for visual senses, etc., and some may be also specialized for thoughts and expression and cognition, etc. So these are the specialized parts of the brain about which we will study in detail, but we are not going to going into the detail of brain here. Here we will start with the spinal cord. What are its functions? Let's have an example. uh, Suppose these are the neurons. This is a neuron which is running through our hand. It may be not our right hand only, it may be left hand or right hand or any part of our body. Where this neuron is connected, this neuron is directly connected to our spinal cord. You may have heard about the backbone. I am telling you about how our backbone is made. It is made of something, there is a structure like this. These are the small bones, and within these bones there are some collection of neurons which are running from our spinal cord, from our backbone, connecting to our brain. This will be forming our brain. This part will be brain, and this spinal cord. What is spinal cord? It is actually the collection of neurons which are running through our backbone, and this spinal cord will directly be connected with our brain. But major neurons are not directly connected to the brain. Remember, only spinal cord is there which is directly connected to the brain, and all other neurons are directly connected with the spinal cord. Like here it is shown. It's a neural sensory neuron which is connected with our spinal cord. This is a magnified image of spinal cord, and further this neuron, uh, this spinal cord itself connects it with the brain. Means this is a sensory neuron which is connected to the this neuron, and this neuron is this spinal cord is connected to our brain. Means if we suppose that this is our spinal cord and these are our sensory neurons which are connecting to the spinal cord, then this spinal cord will be connected to the brain. Now what are the functions of brain and functions of the spinal cord? Before this, let's understand first the structure of a neuron or a spinal cord. This is a cross sectional cut of a spinal cord. Uh, you may be you may find that this part is whitish in color and this is slightly blackish in color, but actually this is not in black color. This is somehow in a gray color. This white color is because there is myelin sheath, and if you actually look at the cross section of our spinal cord, it actually looks like a like white color because of myelin sheath. And we can say that this is a its color is slightly light. But talking about this inner part will consist of glial cells, neurons which are connected with glial cells. There are several neurons in this inner part of the spinal cord, which are interconnected by the glial cells. Hence, their color is gray. It's not blackish; it's gray in color. Now, what happens and how this spinal cord functions? Spinal cord is involved in decision making as well as for the transferring of data or signals or the senses to our brain also. Let us understand it with an example. Suppose you are feeling your finger. Here in this example it has been suppose your finger is feeling some pain due to burning. Your finger is feeling some pain due to burning. Now this signal will go to the spinal cord. Now what spinal cord will do? Spinal cord will itself decide that what is to be done. It will not send the signal to the brain. It will first decide what is to be done and what is necessary. The necessary thing is that first you have to remove your hand. So it will send a signal via another specialized cell known as efferent cells. We will talk about efferent cells more in detail, but via efferent cell it will send a signal to remove the hand, and your hand will be removed, and it may also be succeeded by some other signals like you may say something from your mouth, etc. Now after the signal of removing the hand is over, then this spinal cord will send the message to the brain. The same message will be sent to the brain that something had happened. What will happen if this spinal cord first sends this signal to the brain, and then when brain then it will have worked as per the decision of the brain. Let us assume it. For example, assuming that uh, from your sensory neurons present in hand, this signal is directly going to your brain. Now it's a tendency of the brain to think about everything. Means if thinking is involved in any phenomena, it will take time, and due to this time which is being taken by the brain or our mind for thinking for any action, due to this time there will be a huge time gap between the decision making and the removing of your hand. When your brain will decide what to do, At that time, your hand will have been completely burnt because it will have taken time. So that's how to, in emergency situations, to avoid any unforeseen events, spinal cord directly takes the action rather than sending it to the brain. Not all the signals are not all the decisions are taken by spinal cord. Spinal cord takes decision only for those in those conditions when the situation is emergency for the survival of the person we are talking about. But if there is no emergency situation, then spinal cord will not take any decision. It will first send the signal to the brain, and then it will be further it will work on the decision of the brain. Now let's this was the concept all about, and now let's have some factual data. This neuron, the chain of neuron which is directly connected to the spinal cord and whose function is to send the signals to the spinal cord, is known as afferent neuron or sensory neuron. It may be also called sensory neuron. Like, and when the spinal cord gives any decision to that signal, this decision is transferred to the same neuron, and this neuron by which this signal is transferred is known as efferent neuron. Means motor neuron. Efferent may be also regarded as motor neuron. So what is a motor neuron? Motor neuron carries the signals from spinal cord to the sensory neuron. And what is sensory neuron? Sensory neuron carries the information from the senses to the spinal cord. In between, there is a blue line. This part here, some blue line is there, and this blue line is connecting the your sensory neuron with your motor neuron, and this neuron is known as relay neuron, or it may be also called as intermediate neuron. It is remember one thing, it is not only connecting motor neuron to the renal neuron, but it is the part which is also connected with the brain. That's why when the signals are transferred from the motor neuron, after this transfer is completed, the same signal is also transferred to the brain, that what has happened, what was the signal, and what I decided, and what was the signal sent. These all the information will be sent by this relay neuron to the brain for further thinking, so that we cannot so that we will avoid such problems in our future. That was all about the spinal cord. And this action, entire action, is known as reflex arc. It is known as reflex arc. Remember one thing, reflex arc will be developed only when there is an emergency situation. So all I have told, I have covered all these parts. Now moving to the next. There are some damages or some details about the spinal cord. Initially it was thought that when our central nervous system is damaged, means whenever our neurons of our brain or neurons of our spinal cord is damaged, it cannot be recovered. And it has also been seen at that time that some people are able to recover in such situations or such damage, and the explanation at that time was given that it was due to their capability of neuroplasticity or neurogenesis. But at that time these two concepts were not explicit, they were not clear, and hence research is still going on for the uh, repair process of brain and spinal cord, neurons of the brain and spinal cord. Now, what is neuroplasticity, neurogenesis, and its stem cells? Remember, how to repair? In recent times, there are many scientific research which are showing that we can repair. Actually, we can repair the damaged cells as well as damaged cells of the spinal cord. How this happens? It is neuroplasticity. What neuroplasticity means? It is the ability within the brain to constantly change both the structure and function of the many cells in response to the experience or trauma. Like when we learn something new or when we forget something new, our neurons in the present which are present in the brain get changed. Their dendrites may be reshaped, or their entire axon or soma part of their axon may be changed. As per our experience, maybe it may be our ability to learn something new, or maybe having some new experiences. On the basis of that, our neurons are constantly changing. This is a structure which I've been saying, that how neurons or the dendrites gets changed when someone faces something new. This is known as neuroplasticity. Now, how neuroplasticity can help to repair the functions or repair the damages of the brain? It may help in such a condition where due to any trauma or due to any bad accident, we have been our brain or our spinal cord has been damaged. In that condition, we can do it generally in clinical way also, by giving some support, some social support to the person who has been affected. His brain structure may be changed automatically. That is the neuroplasticity. And next one is neurogenesis. Initially it was thought that neuro means neurons and genesis means synthesis, making up of new neurons. It was thought that after the when we have got our adulthood, there is no neural development in our body, no new neural development in our body. But now, after the many scientific study, it has proven that neurogenesis takes place during entire span of our adulthood. That is our neurons, the neurons in the brain and spinal cord are created at the age of 40 to 45 years, till the age of 45 to 50 years. That's a long time, and it is of course widely accepted that the most neurons are formed before our child birth, but it doesn't mean that they cease to be uh, generated after the birth. They are generated, their new neurons are developed till till our entire adulthood. So this would be noted. Hence neurogenesis may be also used for the repair of our neurons or our damaged part of our brain or spinal cord. Next one is stem cells. I have already told in a class that what are stem cells. They are totipotent, means every type of organ can be made with this stem cell. So if we can introduce stem cell in a damaged region, then it is very easy to eradicate that the damaged portion of the brain or spinal cord. That's all about it. And next thing by which we can repair these damages is known as epigenetics. Epigenetics means there is a, remember in our first class or second class we had discussed about an issue known as a nature or and nurture issue. That is how but that's not the real issue. Here we are going we will study about the effect of environment on the genetic structure of someone. Of course we adopt we were monkeys initially and now we are humans, then there must have been genetic evolutions, and due to this genetic evolution we can also search for some techniques to repair the brains of our repair the neurons of our brain and spinal cord. Next one is peripheral nervous system. Remember we have left brain, which will be discussed further in this class after the endocrine system is over. Now the peripheral nervous system will consist of somatic nervous system. Somatic is divided into two. First one is somatic nervous system. Let me show you again. Somatic nervous system and automatic nervous system. So firstly we are going to discuss about somatic nervous system. It is all about the our voluntary actions that we can do by do voluntarily, like we can move our hand, we can move our feet, we can walk, we can run. That's based on our control, that is in our control. That's not automatic, that's why it is known as somatic nervous system. And what is this somatic nervous system consists of? It consists of a sensory neuron, a motor neuron, and a relay neuron. What we had talked about in reflex arcs, that is the part of somatic nervous, that may be considered a part of somatic nervous system. what import what is important is uh, autonomic nervous system, which we have to study in detail. It is further divided into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. We will study in detail what is sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Let's sympathetic means something which is related to our emotions, and the neurons for the sympathetic nervous system of autonomous nervous system, means sympathetic division of autonomous nervous system will be found basically in this part, that is in the middle of the spinal cord, like in this part. Neurons for the autonomous nervous system will be found at this region, that is at the middle of spinal cord, not in the spinal cord, on the spinal cord or near the spinal cord. Remember, this is not a part of central nervous system, hence all these things will be controlled by itself. Of course some of this portion is controlled by our brain or by central nervous system, like we have pons villi region in our in our central brain, which controls these involuntary actions, automatic actions, but they are largely controlled by these nerves which are found near the spinal cord at the middle. What is the difference? First we are going to study about sympathetic division. What this sympathetic division is about? It is about fight, or it works on the principle of fight or flight. Means if we have dare, you have to fight, and if you have if you know you are going to lose, then you have to flight, that is run away. But in both the cases what happens, we have to see. In both the cases similar action happens. What happens? Heart rate increases due to excess demand of oxygen by our body. Our bronchi dilates. Bronchi is a part of our lungs, which is the somehow a bob-like structure. swollen structure in the heart, in the lungs. Salivation decreases, and due to this decrease of salivation, you may not able to eat your food. Dilates pupil so that more information can be absorbed, means your more light may be absorbed by your pupil during the dilation phase. Decreased digestive functions of stomach, pancreas and intestine. Inhibits bladder contraction, means everything in your bladder maybe go out if you are if your fear is of extreme level, and your bladder may be empty, and this may also lead to your death or fainting due to such scenario. Now let us assume what will happen due to this increased heart rate. What will happen? Heart will work far harder, and this will increase the blood amount in your lungs, in your interest, in the region of your bladder, and in the region of your brain also. But it will, from where this blood is coming? This blood is coming from your skin parts, like these parts, because they have now there are no requirement of blood in these regions, and because blood is not coming here, and if such situation or such a stimulated or excited situation is for a long time, you may feel unconsciousness also. Now this is due to heart rate. What happens when bronchi dilates? When bronchi dilates, it means more air is coming to your lungs, and that's why you are breathing fast. And decreased salivation means you are not feeling hungry at that time. During the emergency situation, you actually do not feel hungry. Dilates pupil and inhibits tear glands. At that time you will not weep out, and your pupil will be increased, that is your eyes will be like surprised, in a surprised mode. And decreases digestive functions of the stomach, pancreas and intestine. This is due to this is because we want more energy at that time to save our life rather than to digest our food. Another thing, inhibits bladder contraction, means you have no control over your bladder, and this may also be a cause of your death. Okay, if the situation remains same for a longer period. This is all about sympathetic division. How it is it gets stipulated? It gets stimulated started with the secretion of adrenaline, which is a hormone, a chemical which is released in the blood by the adrenaline gland found near our kidneys. And what happens in the parasympathetic division? It when the suppose when the emergency situation is over, at that time all what happened to our body is needed to be relaxed. So what it does, it slows her sorry it slows heart rate, contracts pupil, increases salivation, opposite to the it will work opposite to the sympathetic division. That's your parasympathetic division. In salivation will be increased, your bronchi will be contracted, that is your breathing rate will be controlled, and allows bladder contraction, means you have full control over your bladder. Increases digestive functions of stomach and pancreas, and because one more thing, because you have spent a lot of energy during your stressful situation, and now at that time when the situation has got over, you need to save your energy, and hence you need food. After an emergency situation, it's most probable that you will feel hungry. So this was all about sympathetic and parasympathetic division. How this parasympathetic division starts? This parasympathetic division starts with the release of noradrenaline. Remember, In sympathetic division, sympathetic activities were started by the secretion of adrenaline hormone, which by a gland named as adrenal gland, which is located near your kidneys. And this parasympathetic division will start its activities by secreting noradrenaline, which is secreted by noradrenaline gland, or it is just adjacent to the adrenaline gland. Both are located at the same place but not overlapped. This was what all about I have told about all these things, so you may understood it. And that's it with this chapter. With this topic we will be discussing about our distant connection, that is endocrine glands, how they control our brain and body parts, body functions. We will discuss about it in our next class. If you are in doubt, you may comment it in your ask it in your comment box.